Hello everyone, Shinto Bean here playing some more Warhammer combat cards. In this one we're going to be taking a look at the shop to see all the different bundles that are available there. And there are a lot. First of all, starting off at the top we have 6 new Tyrannid cards entering the game. 3 epics, 2 rares, and a common. So we've got a Hive Tyrant, which is an epic with Inspiring Presence, and then it unlocks shields at level 9. It has all 3 attack types, which is pretty useful. Its ranged attack is fairly weak until you hit level 6. At max level you can see it is a decent powerhouse though. It doesn't have the most health for its cost, but the shields will keep it alive, at least in those max level events, so pretty nice card there. Next up we got the Tyrannid Prime. This one also has Inspiring Presence and Poison at level 9, and it's got a stronger melee attack than ranged. A decent amount of health at the max level. We've got the Harpy, and it starts off with 2 ranged upgrades right off the bat. It's got Scout for its primary trait and Outflank for the secondary trait, so this one, certainly at max level, I think is better than the Hive Crone. It is under 40 points, so it won't be the target of big game hunters, but can hit quite hard with that ranged attack. Its melee attack is quite a bit weaker than the Hive Crone, though. And then we've got the Trigon, which is similar in appearance to the Moloch, but this one has Furious Charge, so it'll be hitting with a big melee attack right when it deploys. It also has a ranged attack, making it quite a bit better, I'd say. It has a whole lot more health as well. If you compare the two side by side, yeah, the Trigon is a lot tougher, although the Moloch has Death Blow, so you do kind of want it to die eventually, although it's not always going to because it still has a lot of health anyway. This Trigon is quite a bit more expensive, though, at 70 points, but pretty impressive figure, especially in max level events. Then we've got a Hive Guard with Precision Shot. This one is quite good, I think. 15 points is pretty cheap, but it does gain a pretty powerful ranged attack. It's got a weak melee attack, which you can use to break shields or take down Captain Acheron's Iron Haloed Marines. Yeah, solid bodyguard for a ranged composition. And then finally we got the Sporicist, which is a really massive tanky card with Barrage. So some solid entries into the Tyrannid roster. As much as I'd like to add them to my collection, I have been spending a fair bit of money on this game recently, so I might have to pass this one up. But going down, you can see we've still got the Vindicare Assassin bundle there as well. But these combat patrols, this is something new, which was mentioned in the roadmap that they released recently. So these are heavily discounted bundles themed around each faction. So the cheapest one here, at 90% off apparently, is Necron Combat Patrol, which doesn't really have very good cards, as you can see. I mean, you got 15 copies for each of those commons, and then 6 copies of the Corpse Lord, which is probably the weakest Necron Warlord, but it is only like $1. 100 yen, actually, which is it's quite a good deal. But really, you'd only want to get it, I think, if you were a brand new player and a huge fan of Necrons and just want to jumpstart your collection. And then the combat patrols, there are a bunch of them, but the discount decreases, I guess, as you go down. So this one's only 80% off, and it's Tau themed. Again, nothing too special in that bundle. 75% off, we've got the Astra Militarum Combat Patrol. This one does have some newer cards, including the Armored Sentinel with Precision Shot and the Field Ordnance Las Cannon Battery. This one is actually quite strong with Big Game Hunter. And 2 copies of Creed, who is a solid warlord as well. Then we got the Gene Stealer Colts Combat Patrol. This one is not that great. It does have one relatively new card, the Goliath Rock Grinder, but this is actually one of the worst cards in the game, I think, for its stats. So probably not worth your money. The World Eaters Combat Patrol is pretty cool. You do get 1 legendary, Lord Invocatus. This guy is also pretty new. The World Eaters Lord on Juggernaut with Scout, as well as the Jackal with Deathblow. Some decent cards for Skull Taker. Leagues of Votann, I'm guessing, is probably the least popular faction in the game, but if you really want to play them, there's a bundle for you. And then finally, at only 50% off, is the Grey Knights Combat Patrol, which is really not a good deal at all, because most of these Grey Knights cards are just not very strong. Grandmaster Voldus can be okay, but he still has very low health for his cost, I think. So they're definitely stronger Space Marine Warlords out there. So those are the combat patrols, it doesn't say how long they will be available for at the moment, so I don't know if these are going to be changing like on a weekly basis or what. But let me know what you think of these and which of the combat patrols you think is the best deal. Of course, it doesn't stop there. We still got a bunch of other bundles based on all kinds of stuff. We're going to have a Tyranid campaign starting soon, so we've got all these Tyranid bundles. These seem kind of random in terms of their content. So yeah, the cheaper ones just have an epic, 2 rares and 2 commons. The more expensive ones have copies of Deathleaper as well. And they go all the way up to just a really expensive bundle there. We got the Rogue Trader deals. These are also relatively new. Not much was said about these, really. They just offer like one specific card, and then a bunch of cards from that faction. So yeah, 16 copies of Shazo Relay for 2,000 Plasma. I've never been tempted by any of these, though. They tend to not be a very good deal, I think. We've got the dual faction packs in here as well. Those still exist for Plasma. And then we've got some other offers as well. These are also, I think, coincide with the current campaign, so these are Tyranid themed. And they do have a higher drop rate, although they have like half the cards that you would get from like other bundles. So I may get this one just because I really like Tyranids. If you look through it, though, it doesn't actually have any of the newer Tyranid cards that have come out in the last few shop bundles. So these are all just cards that are in the general pool, and there's just a bunch of those for Plasma. Then we got campaign packs, and these are just Gene Stealer Colts, which I would not bother with. I prefer just getting the Tyranid bundle to this one, unless you really love the Gene Stealers. And then finally, we have reached the card shop. So it looks like the campaign packs that used to have the Warlords, the guaranteed Warlords, are gone. I don't know if those will be returning or not, but yeah, everything else down here is just stuff that's been in the game since its initial release. Other than, well, oh yeah, I forgot about this ad pack. It's just buried underneath all the bundles. So yeah, it took a little while to scroll through this shop. There's just so much stuff in here. Pretty crazy, so many options. I'm sure for a new player it'd be pretty overwhelming. Trying to decide what to buy here, if anything. Let me know if you've made any purchases in the shop recently, and what you think is the best deal. I think in terms of value, I guess the combat patrols, the most discounted combat patrols would be the best value, but the content is not really all that amazing. Other than that, I mean, it just really depends on which faction you're interested in, I guess. I guess in retrospect, maybe these combat patrol boxes are supposed to replace the Warlord pack, since all of these do actually have a guaranteed Warlord, as you can see. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.